Hello, this is my week 3 assignment. I will be reviewing the personal stories of Mr. JTravis and Mr. SPurgason. I will start out with my friendly critique of Mr. Travis's video. I'd like to start out and say that excellent use of hands to emphasize points. It really drove a lot of the story he was conveying about, basically almost drowning in a kayak. It was a funny story. One thing, and I do it too, it seemed like as you were telling the story, you were remembering additional details. So you may want to plan that out a little better so as you're not in the middle of it, remember more stuff. The details you did have were excellent. Felt like I was there. It seemed like you were rushing through it a little bit, or just trying to fit it in a certain time frame. I try to just get the story out there. I mean, for you, however you want to do it. But, in the future, it really sounded like you were either speeding up in places or slowing down to me. So it was entertaining. Bit of father-son bonding, and it's another reason why I don't go kayaking myself. Other than that, it was a very entertaining story, and I think you did a good job. Moving on to Mr. Spurgason's story. I have to admit I don't know a whole lot about, I guess, fracking or oil fracking, I guess it was you were doing. You were spitting out a lot of technical terminology there that you explain it, but it just, for me, who has absolutely no idea of what you're doing, maybe you could have broke it down a little more. You seemed kind of bored when you were telling the story. There wasn't a whole lot of motion in it. You did use your hands and a little bit of moving around, but it just seemed like you weren't really having a good time telling the story. I mean, it's clear that you know what you're doing. I mean, you were saying some technical term, and I thought I had to deal with a lot of acronyms, being prior service, and and knowing a lot of ins and outs of stuff. But you appear to be very knowledgeable in what you do, and that's a good thing. But for someone like me who just is, a novice, even if that, maybe a little more layman's terms would have helped me kind of feel like I was more there with you. It seemed like maybe you could have rehearsed it a couple more times, especially at the end. That appeared to me to be just like an afterthought that you just decided, oh, I should probably tie it all together. I do that too, so it's not a really huge deal. I mean, it was a good story, and I'm glad you made it through it okay and everything. But maybe just seemed like a little more animated next time and break it down so those of us who have, no experience in your field can maybe relate to it a little better. Let's see. And then moving on to myself, I definitely could have rehearsed mine a little better, I think. I mean, I've told that story hundreds of times, and I'm sure like a lot of people, sometimes you remember details, sometimes you forget. Especially when he's there, my brother, who's the other subject of my story, he brings in details that specifics that he remembers that I've forgotten, or just adds a little minutia to it. Like I was saying about Joseph, my thing is, I'll write down what I want to say, points A, B, and C, but then in the middle of telling the story or whatever, oh, I'll remember this, I want to add it, or I'll forget one of the ones that I wanted to add, so I need to work on that a little better. I think a more logical organization of the story, what it is, beginning, middle, end, and then a finale, I guess is a better word, or a good way to bring it all to a close a little better for me, which is an organized ending. And I think I could have let off with a better intro. I kind of just started out in the past, whereas I should have maybe a thesis statement, I guess would be a good term to use, would have been better. So that is the end of my critique for week 3. I hope nobody's offended and everything finds it useful. Thank you.